Zombie good. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Want to look for some sells here on GU. If price does maintain below this area of support, I do want to look to take a potential sell. So I'm going to spend my time on the 5 minute because I took a couple of trades. This one, I got stopped out at a 1 to 2 after being up at 1 to 3. This one, I took a loss. And this one right here, I'm looking to see price actually closed below the low. It didn't close below here, didn't close below here. It finally actually closed below here. So this would be a break and retest setup. If price does maintain and hold as resistance, what I'm seeing is the 5 minute is aligning with the bearish structure. So 5 minute is aligned with bearish. That's literally all I need for me to enter the trade. There's nothing else. If the market was bullish, I would just wait a little bit longer. But since the 5 minute is aligned with bearish, if price does give me a rejection here, and let me see, stop loss would be above resistance. So I'll monitor this and see if the market does um, 1 second. What am I looking for? Alright, perfect, cool. Let's see if I can get a lower high. There's a few areas that I want to pay attention to here on GU. What I want to see is if the market does maintain, what I want to do is I want to clean up my charts a little bit. Yeah, I want to clean up my charts a little bit. So what I'm going to do is do it like this. I'm going to clean up my charts. I'm going to just focus on this low down here. That's the 4 hour. And I'm going to identify this next major area of resistance my price is currently trading at here, and then I want to identify a couple of more zones. This major resistance. I can actually adjust this to this resistance actually. Yeah, keep it clean. So now I can just focus on these three main areas where price is trading at. What I've observed is looking at this, with all of this that's going on, all the consolidation, I want to make sure I stay well aware of what the overall trend is, where are the key lower highs and lower lows. And the main lower high is up here. This price finally broke below here, solidifying this higher lower high. The price came down here, created this area down here, boom, created this lower high, and all of this is just noise in between because if you scale out, if I scale out from a bigger perspective, all I see is that this is just simply a lower high that's forming. The daily is um, trading bearish. The daily is in a bearish season. It's not trading sideways like I was over here, and it's not trading up. It is trading downwards. It's just been ranging a lot the past couple of days. Basically, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but around 6 days, price ranged. This last previous daily candle created a lower high at previous resistance, which is very, very key. A shooting star on a daily time frame and this bearish trend. So just seeing how that previous daily candle closed, that says a lot, because the bearish candlesticks always hold more weight than the bullish candlestick. Now just looking at the 4-hour time frame, I'm seeing the main lower highs, key areas of resistance. It's this overall, this entire zone is what this 4-hour area looks like. So as long as price maintains below this entire zone, then sells are still valid. I'm gonna change this. I can't even see that. I want it to be subtle. Still can't even see that. I don't want it to be too dark. Well, just white. I'll just keep it like this. As long as price maintains below this zone, then sells are still valid. If price starts to close back above this support and close back above this range, what this would be is a potential overlap of this area of support. So everything is still aligning with sells. Candlestick analysis is forming. Candlestick analysis is playing out. Price did close below support. Now it's just a matter of seeing if price continues to actually close. So this next 4-hour candle would tell me a lot. If the next 4-hour candle, by the time this candle closes, ends up closing below this 134-200, it's a higher probability chance that price would break down, come down to the next 4-hour zone, which is 133 flat. If price closes back above, it's a high probability chance that this is an overlap, and price would potentially go back up into the next 4-hour zone at 134,800. So for right now, I'm just going to adjust to what the market is doing. There's 3 hours left. I don't have to wait until this 4-hour candle closes to enter. At this point in time, yes, it would have been smart to wait for the 4-hour candle close. Now that I have this, within this next 3 hours, price could create a lower high rejection and continue to keep going down. So that's what I'm going to focus on. I already got a shooting star on the 4-hour time frame. I already got price breaking below the structure point on the 4-hour time frame. Now I just need to wait for the lower time frame to align with this. I see the 1-hour structure shifted bearish, higher high, higher low. Matched this high, created a low, lower high, low, lower high. So what price is now doing, it is currently trading sideways in this range, and then it finally closed and broke below. None of these candles closed. None of these 1-hour candle close. Let me even adjust this a little bit so it aligns with more of it. I'll keep it right here. But none of these candles actually close below this area. So what I'll do is this candle finally closed. If I can see something within this lower time frame, so I have everything on the higher time frame. The higher time frame is already telling me sells. All I need to do is wait on any bearish variation on the 5-minute time frame for me to enter this trade. I just gotta wait for the market to give me something. Tweezer top, bearish engulfing, evening star, shooting star, doesn't matter. Marabouzo. I just need some bearish candlestick, and if I get that bearish candlestick, what I'm going to do is enter. And based on my system, I need to ask myself, where does my stop loss have to go that would invalidate this setup. If price were to hit this stop loss, I'm most likely wrong. And price is, this is a overlap, and price could potentially come back up higher. I could put it right here. That'll be super aggressive, but that wouldn't really invalidate the setup because price could come up here, reject this, and continue to keep going. That lower high point would be above here. It's a much bigger, wider stop loss. But as long as the R multiple makes sense, that's all that matters. If I'm looking to target down into this area of support, it's still a 1 to 3. And that's just with this specific position. And what I've observed with the system is the initial trade, the R multiple, as long as the R multiple is a 1 to 2, I don't need to, and I've been auditing this and observing this within my system. I don't need to try to get a 1 to 15, 1 to 10, 1 to 20 R multiple for every specific entry because I know that if I'm flowing down to a specific area, however long that takes, even though this initial entry is a 1 to 3, if price were to give me that lower high, but let's say I got in right here, even though the initial trade is a 1 to 3, I know that there's so many opportunities where I could potentially scale in, scale out, scale in, scale out, and those stop losses would be a lot smaller depending on that scale in. So this 1 to 3 for this one position can end up turning into a 1 to 10 at the end of the flow. I don't like to just focus on, oh, I'm trying to hold this one position all the way down to here. This is where my take profit is. If price is holding at a 4-hour zone, I'm going to target the next 4-hour zone. And if I'm entering a trade at the 4-hour zone, I need to have my stop loss in a place that would invalidate this. If I were to just put my stop loss randomly here, that would be foolish because this is a 4-hour zone and price can bounce around here as many times as it wants to before dropping. I would rather give my stop loss that breathing room and let the trade do what it wants to do till it either invalidates my setup or continue to keep trading down. Because if price were to start trading lower and then it came down into this next zone right here, which is this 1-hour zone, if price were to come down into this 1-hour zone down here and start trading back below here and then created some type of a lower high, started rejecting and holding below here, then I could enter again and that stop loss would be a lot, and I can move this stop loss below this area and this stop loss would be a lot smaller than this, so I can look to scale in and that risk to reward could be a little bit greater. So by the time price gets here, whatever that R multiple is that I gained is what I gained. I don't like to just focus on just one specific position. That same thing applied to the, oh, I erased my chart, so those two's aren't up here no more. But the cells that I took earlier, it was, what was the first one? The first one was right here. I remember this one. Yeah, this was around 3 in the morning. The first sale that I took was in this area, same exact concept. Price created this double top, and when I seen price come up, give me this bearish variation, I decided to enter here in this area. I gave my stop loss some breathing room above the resistance, and I was up I remember being up a 1 to 3 because I ended up moving my stop loss to 1 to 2, which is where I got stopped out at. I was up a 1 to 3, so I had a little bit. My stop loss, my entry was right here. I was up a 1 to 3 at this point in time. So when price came down to this 1 to 3 point, I immediately moved my stop loss to 1 to 2 according to my system, and they ended up getting stopped out at a 1 to 2 for this position. And then I took another sell position here as well when price came back down into this area and it started rejecting and created lower highs and gave me the rejections here. I entered again here and I was looking to target the lows. I gave my stop loss some breathing room above here and I had my TP down into the lows, which is a 1 to 2, and I was looking to still target all the way down into the next area. This trade price came down into this area support, held again, and just ended up for this one. So potential, like saying this one didn't fully form, and so price came back. So that was that setup. I get the confirmation stop loss above this high because if price comes all the way up here and rejects this, it's a high probability chance that this is a overlap and price would, that's not the two, and price would break above here, come back down, create a higher low, start maintaining as support. Now you have a inverted head and shoulders, and price could potentially come back up into the next resistance range. All I need is a bearish variation, and I'm going to enter the trade. Targeting down here. We did have CPI at 8:30 as well, and see the market had this initial reaction to the downside after CPI. It's looking clean. What I'm noticing and observing, focusing on candlestick analysis, is I'm seeing the structure start to shift within these candlesticks now. Price is creating higher highs, higher lows, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Higher high, higher low. Now price potentially is creating a lower low. It broke below here, but the candle has to actually close in the next 4 minutes. How this candle closes in the next 4 minutes will tell me a lot. This could be a wick and price continue to keep going up, and that would not have validated this close, because even though price is breaking below this low, the body closure to me and how my system is and what I've constantly built was, and seeing the repetitiveness is, the body closure holds much more weight than price just wicking below this area, because all of this that's forming now is going to form up the 1 hour candle in the next 30 minutes. If price closes, if the body actually closes below this wick right here, I'm going to enter the trade. If the body does not close below and it closes back above, then that is a neutral. So that's what I'm going to wait for here in the next 3 minutes, see how this plays out. I'll wait until after the live to upload this video, because I do not want to start uploading a YouTube video and everything start going slow. So I'll wait. Trump speaks at 4:30. Oh, this is not when Trump speaks at. This is new. This just popped up because I literally just looked at this a little bit ago, and now it's different. So Trump is going to speak later on today. That is going to be a interesting type time. If I'm in the position and the position holds, I'm going to hold it all the way through. Now, this is a this is gonna take a while. I'm not staring at the 5 minute time frame no more. I already got my entry. Now I was seeing how the 1 hour candle and 4 hour candle closes. The real time frame, since I'm already in this trade now, the real one that's gonna hold more weight is the 4 hour candle in the next 3 hours. So how my system is and how I've implemented. Once I get my entry, unless the market is moving super volatile, unless there's a lot going on where I'm on a 1 minute time frame, 5 minute, where there's a lot of momentum and I'm scaling in, then I will stay on that specific time frame, like a 5 minute time frame or down to the 1 minute time frame. But if there's no scaling opportunities right this second, I am just going to set some alerts and let it flow. The next potential opportunity would be a break and retest below these lows. These lows down here would be the next potential setup that I could see. I'm gonna keep this at this setup that I could see, and I'm not gonna keep this up here because I don't need a line to see this. So I would wait for a potential break and retest below here, and if that's the case, that's where I could look to, if this sell is valid, wait for a break retest, and if it does hold as resistance, what I could do is scale in here and just move my stop loss more and just continue to keep looking to flow with this position. So all I'm gonna do now is set an alert a few pips above that low just so I can be alerted, and then I'm going to set an alert honestly at my stop loss up here at this resistance range. I'll just set the alert up here because price rejecting and doing anything in between here is relevant to me. So I'll just set my stop losses here, and I'm going to document this trade and see how this trade flows out throughout the rest of the day. See what the other pairs are doing. UJ played out. UJ's at resistance. UJ's looking clean. Holding your support. Resistance, trading at resistance. Gold. What is gold doing? Gold is looking clean. Gold is looking beautiful. Gold is looking clean. It's just moving sideways. If gold does maintain below here, this is an area of support right here. The gold maintains below this resistance range. price could potentially come down into this area of support. And then the next area of support would be right here. That looks like a gap candlestick. I'll do it right here. Same concept on gold. This concept already played out. Gold closed below here, closed below this area, came back up, created this wick. This was news. This was that news event wick candlestick, and then price comes down and closes back below as a shooting star. Very interesting. And this would be the same exact concept on gold. Price came down. This was news. This big event, this wick that happened was news, and I've understood that this happens a lot. This wick right here, people that would have their stop loss right here and right here, what happens is during these news events is spread widens a little bit within the broker. So if your stop loss was right here, if you had a stop loss, let's say right here, above these highs, what happens is during news events, the spread widens, and even though this didn't tap your stop loss, the spread would have widened and your stop loss would have got hit, and then price comes all the way down. There's so many names for it, and I've observed that none of that really matters. The name is whatever you want to call it. Liquidity grab, fake out. I've observed that when it comes to trading in me and my systems, less is better. Terms are irrelevant to me. You can call it whatever you want to call it. You can call it a alley hoop. Doesn't matter what you call it, as long as you can identify within your system what it is. And gold came up, came down, came back up to here. If an entry was in place, boom, this would have been the entry here. Stops would be in a position that would invalidate the setup. If price were to break back above here, this would not invalidate this move. For me personally, I would rather be in the trade longer, and I would actually I would rather be in the trade even if the stop loss is a little bit bigger, but I would rather be in the trade and actually be able to flow with the trade than to just try to get the smallest stop loss. And I've observed this with my system, right? When I try to do things like this, for example, like this, like have a super tight stop loss, like right here, I've observed that what this does, it doesn't give me an accurate system longer term, because this lower high that formed right here isn't even a confirmed lower high yet, because price never broke below here and closed below here. So this isn't even a confirmed lower high. So what I've observed was a lot of times where I would get into a trade and I would try to get a huge R multiple for that initial entry. That was the contradiction, the contrast with mine. I was trying to get a R multiple, a huge R multiple for the initial entry, and still try to get a big R multiple by the end of the flow state. And that's not the case. If price is going to flow down to an area, I can scale in and flow with it however many times. So instead of me trying to have a super tight stop loss below here, where this would not invalidate the setup, if price were to stop this trade out right here, if I were to take a trade right here, if price were to stop this trade, this would not invalidate the setup. Because when you scale out to the bigger time frames, all this simply is just a wick, and that lower high is not confirmed. If I have a stop loss above here, that's a different story, because there is a lower high right here. Price came down, came up, created this lower high, broke below here, broke below the lows, created a lower low. So if I have a stop loss above here, now if price were to come up and stop this position out, then it's a high probability chance that this area of resistance, dragging this left, this area of resistance is no longer valid, and I no longer want to be in the trade, and I would rather get out of the trade. And where I would look to flow for this position, if I was in this trade, would be down into this area of support. And how I look at it is, even if let's say I don't get this initial entry, if I know that this How my system is I trade from level to level. 4 hour zone. If price is trading at a 4 hour zone, I'm looking to target down into the next 4 hour zone. And the in between points, if I were to simplify this and give an analogy. So the 4 hour zones are let's call it the main flow state, right? That is okay, prime example. The 4 hour zones is the destination. So when we are, let's say we're taking we're taking a trip, and we are traveling from one side of the country to the next. We don't just go in a straight line directly to that one point. Let's say we have to take a 15-hour, 16-hour drive. We don't just get in the car and just drive for 16 hours straight without stopping. No. So the 4 hour zones, what that is our main destination. That is where we are overall heading to get to. The 1 hour zones are those mini, what's the word? Those mini quests in between when we decide to stop at a hotel. And let's say we got to take a long drive. We decide to stop to get some gas. We decide to stop to grab something to eat. We decide to stop to this place to sightsee, to see the scenery. That's what the in between zones are. That's what my 1 hour zones are. Let me back this up. Go. But that's what the 1 hour zones are. So whenever price is rejecting a 4 hour resistance, depending on where it is at, I'm always looking to get to the destination, which is that next 4 hour zone. Those 1 hour zones are those mini points in between where I can look to, if I'm in the trade, look to scale in, add more positions. If I'm not in the trade, look to get in and continue to keep flowing with it. The destination is still the same. So if price is here at the beginning of it, I am just, it's like a, let's look at it like also to incorporate it to add another thing. It's like a party bus, right? It's like a party bus. We are all looking to get to the same destination. We are all, let's look at it from this aspect from down here. Let's take it a little bit more in depth. I want to show you guys what this looks like in very simple terms. So let's say we are all looking to get to this destination. Let's say this destination is, I don't know, Ohio or the Bahamas or wherever it is, right? Let's just call it the Bahamas. We're all trying to get to the Bahamas. This is the Bahamas right here. This 4 hour zone is the Bahamas. We have one person who decided to get on the bus here. They started their destination here at wherever. Let's say, I'm gonna just say random states. You guys get the point. Seattle. Here, boom, we're all looking to get to the same destination. We have the next person who, let's say they started their trip right here in Chicago. We have the next person who started their trip right here in Miami. And this person, they started their trip a little bit later. We went to go pick up this person a little bit later. Let's say it's this one big party bus, and the party bus is making different destinations until we all get to, I can't say the Bahamas because that's not even, whatever. Let's say we're all trying to get to a specific place, and the party bus is coming to pick everybody up. And we pick up this person here at this point in time. This person, you were the first person to get on the bus here. Now this comes up, boom. Now we have person number 2 who gets on the bus when we had to stop and make this destination. Same thing, person number 3, person number 4, and then we, as a collective of 4, we all arrive to the same destination. And that is how I look at trading, and that's how I look at my levels. It's not trying to get in at the initial destination. It is just getting on the bus. If I know where the destination is, I just want to get on the bus. I just want to be on the bus. It doesn't matter where I'm at on the bus. I just want to be on the bus. And I want it to make sense. I want it to actually make sense for me to make this trip. If it doesn't make sense for me to make this trip, I'm just staying at the crib. I'm not going. And what that looks like is if my risk reward is a 1-to-1, it's no point in me going. I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting my energy. Why would I go to this trip? It doesn't make no sense to me. If it makes sense, if I know I'm gonna gain something from it, then I'm gonna go to it. As simple as that. Same thing with this aspect. This is where the initial start is, the beginning. The person who got on the bus first. If price were to break below here, retest holder's resistance, this is the second person getting on the bus, and we're all looking to flow down into the state, which is down here. That is what my trading system looks like, and that is how I look at the market. I'm always looking at the main destination, and I'm just determining where is the market currently at within this current trip. If I'm looking at this, if I am in the trade, since I'm in the trade right here, this is the initial entry. So I'm the first one on the bus essentially, right? And what the market does all throughout here, if it does decide to continue to keep trading, that's when I start scaling into those positions more and more and more. But throughout all of it, my R multiple is not my R multiple, the flow state is always down here. And the trade management is just to make sure that I secure at least profits. If I'm up a 1-to-2 and there's no reality, in any reality would I make my initial deposit to get on the bus, and I already made double of what I made on that bus, and then end up losing all of that and back at break even. I look at it like this. When you decide to make that purchase to get on that bus, your initial entry is there's no refund to it. It's non-refundable. If you get stopped out, there's no refunds to it. If the bus breaks down, your stop loss is the bus breaking down. If the bus breaks down, we run out of gas, we can no longer make it to the destination. That's what you signed up for. That's a part of the agreement. But when you are up a 1-to-2 R multiple, what I would do is give you back your initial deposit. So if you spent $100 on this to get on this bus, if I'm up a 1-to-2, now you get your initial deposit back. So now you get this initial deposit back. So what you deposited, you get back. So if the bus breaks down, if anything happens, you're covered. It's not like you, well, actually, no, you made more money because the break even would be you didn't lose nothing, but you still gained something from it. So at the end of the day, right, if the bus breaks down, I'm actually making money because I deposited $100. And if the bus breaks down, I'm getting that $100 deposit back. So that's a win for me. Anything can happen. And I get a refund for the bus breaking down. Cool. All I got to do is just wait for the bus to get repaired, which is price getting to that next level. The bus to get to that next stop, which is price getting to that next level. And now I can look to give my deposit back to still look to go to that next destination. If I'm up a 1-to-3, same exact concept. If I'm up a 1-to-3, then I get double of what I deposited back. So if I'm up a $300, I'm getting 200 of that. I get a bonus. The longer that you stay on the trip, the more bonus that you get. If I stay to a 1-to-4, that means I get a bonus of the 3. And that is how I look at it when it comes to my trading system in very simple terms. That is all I look for on a day-to-day basis. And that's what I created for myself. I personally love it. It works for me. And I've observed that it works a lot for other people as well, because I've seen a lot of people apply not exactly my system, but the techniques to build their own system. And I've seen others apply the same things because we all have different things within our systems. The way that my system is based off of me and the way that I look at things. I love looking at things in analogy. I love looking at things in proverbs. I love things simplicity, simple wise. So when I build out my strategy, when I build out my systems, I build it out in proverbs. I build it out in analogies to make it make sense for me. Because if I can't break down the system in simple terms, I'm not a, and this is how I look at it as well, right? I'm not a scientific research. I'm not a science, what's a science researcher. I'm not this bachelor's, master's, scientific degree type of a person. So why would I talk in those type of terms? It doesn't make sense. I'm not a institutional trader. So I'm not talking in institutional terms. I'm not trying to think like an institutional trader. I'm not no institutional trader. I'm serious. So I don't want my strategy to be in terms of a language that I don't speak, credentials that I don't have, right? The word tells me, and I vividly remember reading this, it talks about this in Ecclesiasticus, and I want to share this scripture because the scripture, it really, really, really showed me a lot of things, man. It says, don't seek things above your will. Don't try to like seek out too much and try to be too gain too much wisdom over wise, because what that does is you start going into this endless cycle. Now you start believing all these random opinions that you have for yourself. So what I do is I analyze myself. I'm not no scientific based research studies. So that's why you see any system that I have, this my of the cardiovascular and the muscles contract and all this and X, Y, and Z. I don't speak in those terms because even though I can learn that from online, I'm not that type of person, so I'm not gonna speak in those terms. I'm not about to say the rhomboideus deltoids of the rhombonis rex. I say shoulders. I say scapula, because that is the language that I know. So that's how I speak. When I speak in terms of building systems, you can add the technical terms of what a system is and the way that the brain is and the neural, all those words, those big words. Yes, that is whatever. But me, I'm not that, so I don't speak in that. I speak in very simple terms, and that's how I teach and that's how I build systems. And using that same concept, I've observed that when I show others and teach others that, they get it a lot more. Because a lot of people, for example, it was one person, I love sharing her testimony all the time because she's made such a big progress. She's doing amazing right now. But Danny, at first, Danny was in that mindset of the listening to everybody else, the scientific and all that. It was never, she was trying to make her system like it was a scientific thing, like how the world teaches it. And what that caused was a lot of emotional things. She already had a trading system that was so simple and so easy. Like she could have given it to me and I could have applied it. Just the system itself, I could have applied it. That's how simple it was. And she's been trading for a while. She's been trading for longer than I have, years. I want to say 5 plus years. But it was that constant cycle and over complicating things, and then she started to second guess herself, doubt herself, and all that. And what we did was, when I spent the time to really take time one on one with her, we went down deep into her system and we found what is the cues. And I was able to audit her system and see what are those cues, because when you're spending one-on-one time daily with somebody, a specific person, and you're going in depth with that, you start to realize certain cues. And that's what we did. We would just keep on going on. Every single trade that she would take, every single trade, we would break it down. We would get on the calls, one-on-ones, and we would break it down. Okay, this is what happened. This is what happened. Okay, when was it where you started to lose control? At this point in time. At this point in time. And what happened was, over the weeks, we would observe that she would start to lose confidence
in scenarios, and she would start to second guess when she was in drawdown, when she was in a significant amount of profit and it was a big retracement that started to happen, when there was aggressive moves that happened in the market. And the other issue was over leveraging, risking too much, too attached to the profit. So when we identified, okay, why are you getting so anxious? Why won't you just let the trade hit your stop loss? Why won't you just let the trade X, Y, and Z? Why won't you just let it play out? Then it was, okay, how much are you risking per trade? What is your trade, like, what are you risking per trade? And it was, she told me the numbers that she was risking, and I asked her, so okay, are you comfortable losing that? And she would say no. So I would say, okay, that is the reason. That's one main reason why. That's why you can't hold your trades and let it all the way play out, see it all the way through. So we put a system in place and we built the system to where it's like she no longer looked at the profit. She no longer cared about that. And she started literally, I'll never forget, she texted me, right? After applying the system, everything that I could do on my end, helped her with it. And she said, all right, I got it. We got the system. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this time to lock in, hone in, and I'm going to implement it. Kid you not. She texted me, I want to say a few weeks or a month later. I want to say a few weeks to a month later. And she was like, yo, if I could find the text, let me see it because I want to read it exactly what she said. She said, yo, Sir, it was like in 2 weeks, I didn't lose a single trade. She, I think 100x her account. Let me find the exact message. Let me see real quick. Where was it at? Right here. Let me go to boom, boom. Let me see. Okay, this was the first thing that she said. Um, Hi, Sarah. I hope you're doing well. I just wanted to update you on how things are going with me and my trading. I've been rocking lately, like not joking, for real. For 2 straight weeks, I haven't had a single loss. I've been patient, executed exactly where I had to enter, exited at the maximum of the most of the moves, and I've had 1 to 2 trades per day slash session. That was another thing. She was over trading, trading way too much. And she's like, okay, after this 2 trade, I'm done. And we started to observe that as well. It was after 2 trades, that's when things started hitting the fan. 1 trade, 2 trades, good. But after 2 trades, that's when everything started hitting the fan. I believe I have 4 days with no trades just because I showed up, but I didn't see anything. On, let me see, I started with an account and she said what her account balance was, and I've made 533% profit on it. She is so humble. She says, I understand that's not so much looking at it money wise, but percentage wise is insane. She is so humble. And then there was the mindset of imagine doing that on a bigger account. And then she ended up, she showed me all of her profits. When I tell you it was nothing but blues, and she was trading gold. She at first it's crazy because before that she was afraid of gold and she was afraid of Nas. Now she only trades gold and Nas. When she showed me these profits, it was nothing but blues. And she also eventually got into prop firms. And she ended up passing like what 5 or 10 prop firm accounts and started stacking them together. And where was it at? Yeah, because they had like this huge discount or whatever. And the thing about it is, I've observed is it's not. It's the person. Once you become aware to the system, because we all follow certain systems, whether you created it or you conform to it. Once you realize the system of where you conform to it, that's how you transition to create your own thing. If you realize that there's certain aspects in certain areas where you were conformed to a certain way of believing, let's say only trading certain pairs at a specific skill level in trading, or only trading at certain times, trading certain pairs, if that is a system that you actually back tested and studied, that is a system that you created. Versus if you never back tested and studied it yourself and you just took what everybody said is gospel and just ran with it, that is a system that you were conformed to. You didn't create that system because you didn't put in the work to have it done yourself. You allowed somebody to conform that system to your way of thinking. That is the beginning of everything. That is how you determine if a system that you created versus is this a system that you were conformed to. And you can audit every last one of your systems to determine that. Literally every single one. When it comes to your trading, break it down. Break it down into smaller pieces. When it comes to certain pairs that you view, because I remember a lot of you guys told me this as well, because I used to be in that was a system that I was conformed to. If I'm sharing my testimony of certain things about my system, number one off the top was the trading certain pairs at certain skill levels. That was a system that I was conformed to, and I didn't study that. I just took what it was said, and I never even tried to attempt to trade the golds, the nods, the US 30s, or those pairs. I would just steer away from there because I told myself, okay, until I become profitable, until I've been trading for a X, Y, and Z amount of time, then I would start trading these pairs because that's what everybody else told me. That's what the best of the best told me. So what I did was conform to their system and not do it myself. And once I actually said, okay, this was a system that they conformed to me, and this isn't the system that I created, I said, nah, every single thing, every single system that I have, and that's this constant cycle that I'm in now, is I want it to be a system that I actually created, not something that I was conformed to by the world. If I'm creating this system, it's being led by the Holy Spirit. I'm not creating a system that drives me towards wickedness and towards evil and destruction. No, I'm making a system that's built off the foundation of Yah and the Holy Spirit and what the word is and how and righteous way of living. So when I audited that, I said, okay, let me take the time to actually go back and study this and actually backtest this. And I started to apply certain concepts that I knew about trading to the pairs of gold and Nas. I said, I understand this. I understand the movements. I understand the times that they're moving, how much that they're moving. Why am I not trading? Why do I need to be making a certain amount to do this? The only difference is you need to have a certain amount in your account to trade those pairs, yes. But I knew at the time I could trade those pairs with those accounts that I had. I wasn't trading on a $10 account or $100 account. I was trading with an account size that I could trade Nas if I wanted to. I was trading with an account size that I could trade gold if I wanted to and still be good and not just lose one trade and immediately blow the account. So I said, you know what? This is what I'm gonna do. I stopped trading Forex pairs. Like I completely stopped trading Forex pairs as a whole. I said I'm only going to trade gold. That at first it was gold, and then it was indices. But I said I'm only going to focus on gold, not to just make money, but to actually build this system to show that I can show myself that I can trade any pair at any time, and that's where the time thing came into place as well. It was I also was conformed to only trade London session, only trade New York session, only trade gold during this session, only trade Nas during this session. And I stopped listening to that. And I will always, every time I saw a setup, I would just take the setup, no matter what time of the day it was. Obviously not around market reset, wisdom, and obviously not around news events using wisdom. So I would only trade those pairs, and I would trade at every single time that the market gave me an opportunity. But what happened was I went from being conformed to a system to creating my own system. And I've done that for every single thing when it comes to my trading, and I'm still doing that. If I ever find a point I'm always analyzing myself. If there's ever a point in my trading where I realize that that's something that I've been conformed to, then I immediately audit it, immediately analyze and decide how can I transform from this? What can I implement to actually overcome this? I apply that same exact thing to every area of my life. That's what the word means when it says to examine yourself daily. So I'm always constantly examining myself. I do that all the time when it comes to my training. That's one area where I get to implement that so much because I've been more consumed by the fitness content, by the fitness. I've been more conformed by the fitness area of things than the trading. The fitness conformed me a lot more than trading because it's so much that comes to the fitness aspect of things. So many different things. When it comes to trading, it's so many things as well, but the fitness was the biggest thing for me. So now every single day it's just a constant. What am I conformed to? How do I overcome this? Every single day. And when you can actually identify those things, that's where the growth happens. That's where in the beginning of the new man that the word talks about becomes. That was this was a pretty 10 to continuously be cautious, aware of that I catch myself slipping in at times is over analyzing a candle and over analyzing a move. It's instead of me, it's 40 going to look like. I mean, not this 4 hour, this 1 hour candle is going to with 40